Central African time. Thank you very much for your listening ear. And of course, we are streaming audio visually on our Facebook page. If you'd like to watch the show and drop your comments, you're welcome to do so there. Otherwise, Channel PAS 10 across the African region if you would like to catch us there. Here we are speaking all things leadership in our ways of working space. And for a very long time, the conversation around women in leadership has been very much focused on representation. You know, how many women are entering boardrooms, taking up senior roles, and being recognized for their expertise, as it were. But the journey from being a high performing professional to becoming an executive leader requires more than ambition. It requires strategic career decisions, visibility, confidence, access to opportunities, and just ways to become a leader and to build credibility, as it were. While the African continent has made progress in increasing women's representation in business leadership, the number of women reaching the high executive positions remains significantly lower as you and I speak. So this raises important questions around, women's preparedness. How are they preparing themselves for leadership roles and positions of this nature for greater influence when it comes to decision-making power? Let's explore this conversation and look at leadership journeys for women, the skills that matter, the experiences that shape executive readiness, and how women can intentionally build careers that move them much closer to the top, as it were. Zama Khanyile joining me on the line in her capacity as a finance and investment executive, and she currently serves as acting head of unlisted investments at the Public Investment Corporation. Zama, so wonderful to have some of your time. Welcome to Channel Africa.
Thank you for having me, Mateko.
Thank you very much. I'd like to get a sense of your perspectives, Zama, as somebody who has made it to the top, if we could use those words. But let's talk about perhaps your journey and how you
Yeah.
Mapped out your career to make sure that you are in this present position.
So my career really has been mapped around being clear about where I'm going. I was told earlier on in my career that job hopping is not advisable. Be known for something that you'll be called an expert in. That way people will seek you out because of your unique skill set and your depth in a particular area. Because of also my participation on a forum like the African Women Chartered Accountants, you get leadership, guidance and advice from an early age. And that's about being visible, most importantly, putting your hand up and forming the right relationships and keeping those as almost your board of advisors to help you navigate through the difficult times, but also emphasizing having mentors and also sponsors to support you along your journey. But it's in my personal reflection, it's about putting my hand up to do the hard tasks that other people don't necessarily want to do or look
Yeah.
very difficult from the set. I've always seen that as opportunity just dressed as a challenge.
Right. It's wonderful advice. I mean, for anyone that is listening, I definitely would take notes. But I want us to look beyond the qualifications and the technical skills for a bit. What actually separates a
Mm.
strong manager from an executive leader? Because the lines can be blurred, but there is a difference there.
Yeah. So, a strong manager is good at what they do. They answer the immediate question in front of them, whereas an executive really looks beyond the immediate and thinks, are we asking the right questions? Are we still anchored in the right why as an organization? Are we still solving for the right problems in the best way or relevant way, given the current circumstances? So we can demonstrate this with just a simple example, right? If you're working at a branch and there's a service center there and there's a long queue, a strong manager will say, well, perhaps we need more people and maybe we need to improve our queuing system to make sure that we run through the queue quicker than what we're doing. But if you're an executive, you would ask, but why do we have such long queues in the first place? So it's more about going to the source of the problem rather than dealing with just the symptoms. And so you need to train yourself in a way that looks beyond the immediate and enables you to develop that judgment and practice that muscle, so that it can get stronger and stronger over time, and you yourself can trust yourself to make difficult decisions in the space of imperfect information, lots of uncertainty, where there is no right answer and the information is disaggregated, yet you must formulate a way to really crystallize what's the problem statement, who do I need in resolving it, and how do I make a decision based on all these imperfect and moving bits. So sometimes I call it like being able to see around the corner is the skill that you're constantly developing as a leader. So it just by definition means you look beyond what's happening in your immediate division, unit, organization.
Yeah.
You look at what's happening in your industry, the macroeconomic environment. What are the customer shifts? What are the client shifts? What are your competitors doing? And what does the future look like? And how have we positioned ourselves to be ready for that opportunity in the future?
It sounds wonderful. Sounds like you need some kind of, crystal ball to be able to determine what is possible, which is such an asset and such a gift in this particular context. I want to get your sense and your opinion around visibility. There's a lot of conversation now happening around visibility, especially when we look at
Yeah.
women in visibility, because a lot of women work very hard, Zama, but they're not always visible when it comes to leadership opportunities that come up. So how can women position themselves, if that's even the question, so that they are better visible? And I think perhaps a distinction needs to be made from being loud and just there, and being visible in the correct way, so that you are seen and prepped for leadership.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's a very good question, and it's received, a lot of discourse around how women can make sure that their good work is seen, right? So, your good work may not always speak for itself, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It might get you a good rating and with your line manager, but you need to ask yourself, beyond your line manager, who has sight of you, outside of the organization or outside of your immediate team, rather. And I'm not just talking about, building relationships only with the people that are present in rooms when key decisions are made about who's eligible for what or what opportunities exist and who should be recommended. For me, it's been a practice of actively relationship building and maintaining those relationships with peers who are collaborators, who are advisors, or people that even are below you or report into you or don't fall at the same level of seniority you currently are positioned at, because those can become your soldiers, your enablers, and your supporters. And visibility is not just doing a job well. It's about positioning yourself as someone who can do more than their job and who can operate at the next level. So how do you seek out and volunteer to participate in opportunities that are high impact for your organization, so that you can then begin to put together a narrative about yourself that talks about, the outcomes you achieved, the problem you helped avert, and don't be afraid to speak to how you've played a meaningful role in achieving those results. I think inherently some of us are shy, we are modest, we don't want to make things seem like it's about us. And I think you can celebrate a team effort whilst recognizing kind of the integral role you've played in achieving that result. And it's not about being loud, as you said, or being cocky. It's about being confident, but also creating awareness of your capabilities, so that when opportunity arises, you are thought of, because people have some sort of a track record around what it is you can do. And because you put your hand up, they know that they can trust you with certain tasks. So I would urge, women and even men to just do activities outside of your normal job and deliver on those and establish that track record and establish rapport with stakeholders, both internally and externally, that can support you on your journey.
100%. Thank you very much for that response. Zama Khanyile joining us in her capacity as Finance and Investment Executive and Acting Head of Unlisted Investments at the Public Investment Corporation. Let's take a break.
The Upside with Poppy Jongwana and Zako Mhlanga.
The moment that we've all been waiting for at Channel Africa One on the socials. She's a digital entrepreneur, an all-round superstar. Micheline Damase, welcome to Channel Africa. Welcome to the Upside. I've been so excited to get you onto the show. I'll tell you why, as a rash for you. And by rash, I mean that I stalk you.
Oh, okay.
Stalking you in a very professional way.
Obviously, having started off in the beauty space, having insecurities, acne, adult acne, and first started off as a mask, then became a passion and more of an art and a craft. And then transitioning into fashion was so natural because I've always been someone who loves fashion. So I decided to go into business with my mom, who is professionally a fashion designer as well as a businesswoman. And just us having similar style and understanding the African market, I felt it would be a great venture. So that's how we transitioned into fashion. I'm still a beauty girl, but I'm more of a fashion girly, I think now. I don't know. But I mean, there might be something coming up for beauty. We'll see.
The Upside with Zako Mhlanga and Poppy Jongwana. Catch it on the Channel Africa app. Weekdays from 3 to 6 Central African Time. Download the SABC app and take Channel Africa with you everywhere you go. Ways of working on the channel.
24 minutes into 9 a.m. in Central African Time. What does it take to move from being a strong professional or manager to becoming an executive leader? That is but one of the questions that, or rather the big idea behind this particular conversation we're having with Zama Khanyile, who is a finance and investment executive herself. And, she's weaved her own story into this conversation, really giving us an idea of what it actually took to get into an executive position. Zama, before we let you go, I'd like you to give some advice, perhaps advice that can give a young woman who dreams of becoming an executive a better standing. Let's look at confidence, let's look at ways to network and shape yourself in meaningful ways over the years.
Sure. So my advice to my younger self or a younger person or someone looking to work their way up in the corporate ladder is, don't wait for full 100% confidence. That will come with time and it'll come with experience. You need not be able to see the entire staircase before you take the first step or before you take the next step, and be known, for being excellent at something. Be excellent, but don't let your excellence be a well-kept secret. Build credibility and seek meaningful feedback. Surround yourself with people that are able to give you advice. I have colleagues that I know that I can just call and say, okay, please give me, a real review or a true review of how I did in this space. How do you think I could do better? And that's helped me over time to be open to hearing about, my gaps or where I need to do better in terms of engaging or communicating. So seeking feedback is a critical part of that. Engage, create relationships, and get sponsors, advisors, enablers. And sponsors are key because sponsors are door openers. They don't just tell you, do this better or, improve here. They actually are the ones that are recommending you and staking their name on you and your abilities. So create those relationships and be curious about things. Don't limit yourself to your own environment or a workspace that you're comfortable with. Build knowledge outside of that. The dots will connect, one day, and network actively and build those relationships way before you ever need them.
Such wonderful and valuable advice. In fact, Zama is on Instagram if you'd like to follow her journey and learn from her. Zama, thank you very much for sharing so generously, and all the best. I know today is going to be very busy for you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you
It was
very
great
much.
engaging.
Absolutely. Thank you. Zama Khanyile, Finance and Investment Executive and Acting Head of Unlisted Investments at the Public Investment Corporation.
Este é o Caleidoscópio de Canal África, com Remo Samo e João Yabala.